What's up, everybody? It's Scotty here with Flat Track Flashback, and it's Friday, October 3rd. It's Mean Girls Day. It's Taylor Swift's new album release. But more importantly than all that, we've got a banger of an interview for you guys today. This is an exciting one. Now, you're going to see some continuity issues. The Band-Aid will appear on my face, and that's because the interview and the outro to this was recorded a couple of days ago. I'm recording the intro at this time because I wasn't entirely sure if this video was going to make it out this week. Last week, I decided to smash my face. I fainted and got knocked out by a urinal and messed up a couple of teeth and gashed my chin, and head still hurts a little bit, but we got that all sorted out. And yeah, a couple of days ago, oh yeah, this will be fun. You know what? Instead of waiting around, let's just dive right into it. All right, we are joined by a two-time American Flat Track Singles champion. In his 63 starts in 4 seasons of Super Twins racing, he's amassed 16 victories and 50 podiums, but all that pales into comparison to what he accomplished this year. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2025 Progressive American Flat Track Mission Super Twins Grand National Champion, Dallas Daniels. Dallas, thanks for joining us, man. How's that sound? How's that feel?
Oh no, it's quite a list you got there. I don't mind listening to it for sure. No, it's good. It's good to be here. Appreciate you having me on, and yeah, it's been a great year, and yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate you taking time to do this. I was thinking about it this week. I'm like, man, we haven't heard from the champ anywhere, man. People are dropping the ball. We got to talk to, their first title. So we'll dive into all that real quick. Just how have the past couple of weeks been now that the season's kind of over with and you've gotten to sort of maybe relax to a degree?
Well, yes and no. Actually, these first couple weeks of the off season have almost been busier than the season itself. The week after the season was over, I had the opportunity to go to Colorado for a sponsor event with Revit, which is the leather company that I wear, suits that I wear on the track. They've been an amazing sponsor. This is our first year partnership with them, and they wanted to kind of just have us out just to celebrate our success and to kind of pump up this local race that was going on there, that Mile High Showdown. Um, so then, as soon as I got back from that, I actually had a great my great grandpa passed away, and so his funeral was the very next day. So I flew home straight for that, and then slept that night, and then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I was at Super Camp, and then Tuesday at home, I actually went and rode motocross, and then Wednesday, my dad and I jumped in the van and drove to New Jersey for the Moto America race, and I just got back and been back for 2 or 3 days now. We got back Monday afternoon, and then Friday morning I'm leaving for Motocross the Nations, which is a weekend trip. So almost almost more busy than I was during the season, but it's good. It's not bad.
First things, condolences to you and your family. I had no idea about that. I apologize for
No,
missing that. So,
appreciate that. No problem. Don't worry about it.
man, busy, yeah, busy off season for sure already. Cramming in a lot of commitments. What else is after Motocross to Nations? Do you have anything else sort of on the horizon? Are you looking to go back to Australia again, or are we just kind of take things as they come?
You know, I kind of left this. I planned a lot of things this off season, like fun things I wanted to do and that. But I also kind of left it open because last year, outside of the Australian trip, I didn't really get to enjoy my off season just because I was recovering from an injury. So I wanted to like these past 2 weeks, I've rode a little bit of motocross. I helped put on a pretty big pit bike race, big for our local area that we'll do here in a couple weeks. So I always look forward to that. It's actually we call it pit bike donations. It's like donations on pit bikes, which is it's just something silly that we like to do. But so putting a little bit of attention into that, and then no, not going to Australia this year. Just didn't quite line up, and it's just got a lot of things going on, trying to get ready for next year, and hopefully, soon here, probably start some testing and get our deals lined up and get ready for 26.
If you don't mind me asking, or for what you can share, how do your deals work with Flat Track? It seems like everybody is on kind of a year to year basis. Is that pretty much how you guys operate as well?
Not necessarily. When I started with Estenson, I signed a 1 year deal with a 1 year extension. And like about 2 races in, Tim ripped up my contract and immediately signed me a 2 year deal with a year extension. And that's kind of been how my deals go. My first year on a Super Twin, I signed a 2 year deal with a year extension, which led into 24. And then for 25, I only had a 1 year deal. So got to re-sign again this year But no, usually we get, a couple years. You like a little bit of insurance in the racing world, no matter if you're doing good or bad. So, but yeah, no, and some of that goes with our sponsors. It depends on how long they commit to how long, Tim can commit to us. So, but yeah, no, looking forward to getting to look over that and get ready for next year.
How many of the sponsors that you guys bring in, how much of it is you individually or like the team? In several sports, some people have individual sponsors that they bring on board, and some are like tied into the team. How's the split like for you guys?
You know, our sponsors are pretty heavily team based. I have some personal sponsors that I work with. Not, a lot of the ones that are on the team become supporters of ours. Flat track, obviously, as we know, isn't as big as we'd all like it to be. So trying to drag in outside sponsors is sometimes tough, especially depending on where the economy is. But it's more so just the team, we kind of piggyback off them sponsors. And Tim, man, he takes such great care of us, all of us, that with as long as we just kind of stay in those wheel tracks, it's pretty easy for us.
It definitely alleviates some of the some of the load going into the off season for sure. So I want us to tell a story of the Dallas Daniels 2025 season. We'll kind of go from beginning to end here, and like coming into the season, there's a lot of chatter about everybody switching rides. You were able to stick with Estenson. You had a familiar base coming into the season, but there were some rules that did impact your team as well. Did you have to adjust anything about your riding style with some of the changes that went into the program, or were you able to kind of keep things pretty level to where they were last year?
Yeah, that's a good question. A couple of the big rule changes, well, one was they took away the front wheel speed sensors, which took away traction control. And a lot of people were saying at the beginning of the year that we still had traction control, which is absolutely not true. You physically can't have it without having a front wheel speed sensor. Um, and then they also took away our ability to look at suspension data, which is telemetry, to have struts on the front and rear to look at how much the suspension's moving. And that wasn't the traction control was a little tough for the team because we've developed this whole package kind of with that in mind. Um, JD used it a little bit, I used it a little bit, but it wasn't like a lot of people felt like we relied on it. Like we couldn't race our motorcycle without it, which is 100% not true. It definitely aided us at some times, and we felt those growing pains at times throughout the season and in testing. The biggest thing was is we had had it for 6 to 7 years, and then all of a sudden it's gone. So it's kind of like, shoot, we've developed this motorcycle. We just had to learn different ways to go about it. My riding style, I like to think I have a pretty smooth throttle hand as it is. I kind of always have, dating back to being a little kid. So I honestly liked not having it just because sometimes it would work against you. And then the to be able to not look at the data, that didn't really show any difference to me. I do think it was tough when we were at the races and maybe we were thinking a part had went bad, or if we were struggling with some chatter or something, we couldn't go to that and say, yeah, here, look at this. These numbers are not right. You kind of had to rely on my feedback, which I feel like my feedback's getting fairly well definitely as I get older. But yeah, they were definitely tough. I mean, it wasn't like, oh yeah, it's going to be a cakewalk. We knew it was going to be a change in pace, but I think a lot of people felt like we relied on that stuff, which isn't true. We definitely used it, but we didn't rely on it.
That's amazing insight. It's more than I had any clue about with that bike. So I appreciate your transparency with all that. Coming into Daytona, things go pretty well. We're able to get a couple victories off the bat, sort of start the season on a high note. And then the next three rounds were, I guess if we're using my standards, were a little bit of a struggle for you with just being, a little bit off through those races. And Breyer and that Harley really started gelling, putting a lot of pressure on the title fight. What was that sort of the West Coast sort of swing from Sonoy and then into the West Coast? How was that on you guys mentally? Because on the podium, you seemed a little like maybe not frustrated, but definitely like disappointed in maybe your performance. Like, how can you elaborate on sort of what you were feeling at that point of the season?
Yeah, yeah, no, it was yeah, you're exactly right. Like when I tell people I struggled and they're like, "Well, what'd you get?" And I'm like, "Well, I got 2/3 in a second. They're like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "Well, when you're fighting for a championship and the guy that you're racing against has won all three of those races, you can't afford to be second, or really, you definitely can't afford to be third." Um, Daytona even wasn't a cakewalk either. It was like pretty stressful getting into that main event. We made a lot of changes and we were able to come from the back and win. And the second night, we were way more on our toes. I think we top three qualified, won our heat, won the dash, and we won the main. So that was a little bit more on par. But, when we went to Sonoya, the track was quite a bit different. It was very smooth, it was very fast. And I was a little upset after that race just because I wasn't really quite sure like what I did wrong. Like I felt like my bike was really good. I felt like I managed the race well. Obviously there was a lot of guys up there battling, but at the end of it, it was kind of just like you had to position yourself right, and I just wasn't positioned right, and I just had a hard time coping with that because I'm like, shoot, dude, I don't know what I could have done. Like, but then at the end of the day, you're just like, hey, man, that's racing. Sometimes you're in the right position, sometimes you're not. And so it was. Then going into California, man, at Ventura, we were bad fast. Like I think I out qualified everybody by like 3/10. And we had went a direction with some suspension stuff, and we quickly realized after Chico that we really struggled when the tracks got rough and when they got slippery. Um, we made a really big step with our suspension package last year, and we just were kind of struggling with that and with the bike a little bit. And the track conditions have been or were a lot different this last year. And what a lot of people don't realize is we had a brand new tire too, this new R5 that they gave us. We did some testing on it in the off season, and then it's been quite a bit better than the older tire. And this goes back to our conversation about the traction control. Is we've developed our bike around this older tire, so it's like we almost kind of had to relearn some stuff. And so it may have been not necessarily that we were struggling with settings, but more so like we just needed to change some stuff to compensate for new parts and new tires or whatever. But yeah, like after Chico, that's a great way to put it, dude. I was just beat. Like I felt like I was mentally, like I think coming back from an injury was super tough, and it was starting to weigh on me at that point. Like not that I wasn't fit, or I wasn't like, not that I like didn't want to be there. It was more like I just didn't have that mental edge that like last year, no matter what happened, like there was a point in the season where I just was like on fire. Like mentally, I felt like I had an edge over the competition, even if I didn't win. I felt like, hey man, I didn't win this weekend, I'll get them next weekend or whatever. And I was just kind of struggling with that. So that break for me between Chico and Lima was really good. We were able to make some good steps with the bike and get it back on track. And then I was able to kind of look deep into myself and say, hey, I need to get back on track. But yeah, it was definitely tough. And Breyer was putting a lot of pressure on. Like he won all three of those races. Ventura not so much, but Chico in dominating fashion. So it definitely was stressful, but it just pushed us to work harder.
And a lot of championships are won on some of your off days, and one of those that comes to mind for me was Lucas. And you and Breyer had this ability to just, maybe qualifying didn't go well, maybe heats didn't go well, but you always found your way toward the front throughout the night and when it mattered most. Can you sort of talk about a race throughout the season where maybe you felt really behind the eight ball all day, but then things started clicking when it mattered most?
Oh, I mean, you got to say Lucas Oil, the one you said. I mean, that was, I think, my worst qualifying in my career. And like, not really to be arrogant, I don't think I've ever sat on the third row on a twin. I did on a 450 a few times, but shoot, dude, yeah, that one was tough because it was like we had raced Lima and DuQuoin, and I felt like we made a step. I'm like, all right, we're back tied in the points. We're back to zero. We've got our motorcycle where we want. We got me where we want. We're firing. We just won the race before. I'm like, dude, we couldn't be in a better position. And then it was just like just come crashing down. And that track and qualifying, like, dude, it was almost like asphalt. Like it was so hooked up and so fast that like I can't really sit here and give you an honest answer at what I think the problem was at the beginning of the day. Um, I think that once when it came heat race time, we may have found something to make it for how qualifying was, but then the track made 180 degrees and started getting slick. And so we're like, shoot. And I missed out on the dash, which is crucial track time, especially when a track's changing like that. And not to mention you know, rival is up for wins his heat race, is up front in the dash. And it was like, shoot, dude, okay, we just need to do damage control here. And I felt like we have a really good setup for when the tracks go slippery, and it's been kind of the weird thing this year. We haven't had a lot of slippery tracks. And so I've honestly, as weird as it sounds, being on the third row, like I don't know if it was the team camaraderie we had or if we just knew we had to be this way. I had a very positive feeling going into that main. Like I knew I'd get a good start. And I kind of started picking them off, and it was going a little better than I initially thought. Like it took me a few laps just to get my reins and be like, shoot, okay, I can do this, I can do that. And at the end of it, I was starting to catch Briar, and obviously that what, I was this or woulda, coulda, shoulda, it doesn't matter. But honestly, that ride kind of saved my season. I mean, if I would have been seventh, eighth, ninth, where I probably was gonna be, what people thought, then I definitely wouldn't have won the championship.
Massive ride there, like you said, damage control, and to be able to do that, it keeps you guys tight. As we head out to Sturgis, we got to talk about Sturgis. Uh, First off, thoughts on the short track and the TT. Your thoughts on competing on a twin on that sort of small of a facility, and also like the really tight confines of the TT that they made there.
I really enjoy riding the twin on small short tracks like that. That place is very small. Like people, I don't know if people really understand how small it is. The first day, man, it was gnarly. It was ruts and rough and super tight. And I'll give it to them. The next day, AFT did a really good job, and they had the track like it was pretty much pool table smooth. Um, but sometimes I wonder if a track that small, it might be better to have it a little bit rough just because like it kind of calms everybody down on the aggressive side of things. When it's real smooth and slippery, it kind of promotes, I think, a little bit more of aggressive riding. But regardless, it was going to promote aggressive riding anyway. The TT, obviously, I'm going to sit here and say I liked it because I won it, but for building it in 2 days, I mean, I think it was pretty cool. Like that downhill section from that straightaway, I felt like had the potential to be dangerous. It wasn't, I think, outside of Justin Jones having his issue into turn one. But I felt like it was cool. I felt like it had a lot of character. I felt like it was technical. It's something different. Like, I'm not saying that we need to have asphalt races. I'm not even saying that we need to have asphalt on TT tracks. But like, I think it's cool if we do one hybrid a year. Like, if we can do one track that's like, shoot, man, that's kind of cool. Whether it's got asphalt in there, we race around a bar, we, jump over a alligator infested water. I don't care what it is, as long as I think we get one of those mulligans a year, like just to change it up. But yeah, no, I enjoyed being out there. Like staying out there for a week in Sturgis, I think is pretty cool. I know it's really expensive. I can't imagine for the guys that are out there on their own dime. But it's pretty cool to do 3 races in like 4 days or whatever it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, having a speed week like that is awesome. I wish there was a way to, make it more fiscally possible on the schedule. We're so blessed on like the World of Outlaws side of thing where they can do something like that and have these multi-day deals at the same facility or in the same state that work out well. So yeah, being able to get that much action in the same week is really cool. Of course, night two, you guys get together, you go down. What's the emotions like at that time? And then how do you have to reset and approach navigating back through the pack on that after the fall?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. A lot of people, I think wondered why I didn't blow up right on the spot and, go up to them and say whatever I said at the end of the race. And my response to that is I still had a job to do. If I would have lost my cool, embarrassed myself in front of everybody with the motorcycles off where everybody can hear me, it would only hurt me. It would only hurt the team. We still had a job to do. It doesn't matter if the motorcycle was so broke we couldn't ride it, which wasn't the case, or if I was hurt, we had to try to make the best out of our situation. So obviously, when I was gathering myself in the dirt, I was kind of just like, man, what just happened? Like, I'm not really, I felt like that night I had a really good shot at the win. When Brandon passed me, I was kind of just sitting on him. I wasn't really feeling a lot of pressure from behind. I was pretty happy with where I was. Obviously, Breyer got antsy, as I would too. He wanted to start moving to the front. And so I kind of went into defense mode. And right then I'm like, okay, I gotta go. Like I need to try to get by Brandon if I can. And yeah, obviously we made contact. He made contact with me. And my initial thought is, yeah, I wanted to get up and go tell him how I felt, but like I told you, that's not going to do any good. So I just kind of tried to bring myself back to ground zero, get the motorcycle back to good. The team did a great job. The bike was actually pretty mangled and it ran on its side for a long time, and which is not good for the motor side of things. And then after the race, I obviously was upset at the end result, and I was upset that he beat me too. Just because it was tough. Like, here I am put on the ground. I wish I could have at least still made up some points. Um, and the emotions got the best of me. I think if I could do it over again, I'm not sure if I'd do anything different. I think maybe I would say a few different things. But I obviously was very upset, as I'm sure he understands, as I'm sure most people understand. It is racing on a track like that, so small. I don't, I'm surprised that that was the only real contact that was made. Um, so I understand it's a racing incident, but at the end of the day, um, it sucks for me because I got the short end of the stick, right? Like, he would look at it different if he was on my side. I would look at it different if he was on his side. So at the end of the day, it's racing, and that's just how it is.
You bounce back, you win the TT, and then we head into Peoria. Breyer takes another victory there, and we move into Springfield. Springfield has eluded you for the past couple of years. It's been a little bit of a heartbreaker at times. Triple Crown Day. You're behind the 8 ball again. You're 7th in the standings coming into that final race. Talk about Springfield Mile day one, and then the emotions of getting over that hurdle.
Yeah, shoot. I mean, Springfield was kind of the story of the season. Just for whatever reason, at the beginning of the day, it just took us a while to kind of find our groove. And I mean, really in qualifying, we weren't horrible. And in that first main event, we were in the lead group, and then it kind of goes back to how was telling you about Sonoya. You kind of just got to be positioned well. And in the second main event, I didn't position myself well at all. I was actually, I think, last of the lead pack, and in the third main event, it obviously worked in my favor. But we made some pretty big changes going into that third main event, and I just remember being like, after the second main, I was just a little bit defeated, just like, shoot, man, like, I have to win this. Like, I cannot not win this. I really needed to win Peoria. I felt like at the time, I kind of needed to win out. Is kind of the pressure I put on myself. But I went into Springfield with a lot of hope because it was still in my favor. I didn't need any luck. If I won all three races and he got second in all three, I would win. So I was like, okay, and Tommy Hayden made it very clear, like, dude, this is still up to us. Like, we can make this happen. We don't need luck. And I remember we were struggling with a few things that day, and our electronics guy, Scotty, came out and he's like, hey, dude, you're not out of this. Like, we're going to give you a good package and you can get this done. And I was like, because I was just head down and just like, man, like, I just can't have this happen. I don't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. And he came out and just was like, hey, dude, pull your head in and we can do this. And yeah, kind of just like Lucas Oil, it kind of took me a few laps to feel out the motorcycle and feel like what I could do and what I couldn't do. And obviously, I had a really strong horse. The team brought me an amazing motorcycle, amazing running motorcycle, and it was very fast, which it feels awesome to have the fastest bike because I've been racing Jared Mees, who comes with by far the fastest bikes on the miles at all times. So it feels good to have that. And like as a kid, like my dad and I were talking about it, like I always rode stock bikes. I never had the fastest bike. We would always go to amateur nationals with our guns loaded. But he's like, man, it's got to feel good to have that edge. I'm like, shoot, yeah, and I had that my whole life. So it's just a little funny backstory. But yeah, man, it was overwhelming emotions just because winning Springfield's like the Daytona 500 of flat track. Like, that's a big deal on its own. And then you compound how the day went. It just was overwhelming. Like, on the victory lap, I just started crying. Like, because it was just so tough, so hard fought, and everybody had a little bit of a crucial part of making that thing happen. And then on top of it, like I said, winning Springfield is freaking amazing. Like, I've always dreamed of like winning the big ones, and that's for me is Daytona, Lima, Peoria, and Springfield. And I've got every one now except Peoria. But so as a kid, I always wanted to win those. So that was pretty cool. Check it off the bucket list.
Those are our quadruple crown, I guess, of flat
Yeah,
track right
exactly.
now. Just the history behind those, and Peoria. You've talked about how special that place is to you for it being your first like singles win, and that place has kind of kicked your ass a few times.
No,
But
exactly. Yeah.
so we go from one, emotional extreme. You win the Springfield Mile. You're back in the title fight. Day two comes to a close, and you find yourself at another extreme on the verge of a possible championship. How do you navigate kind of the noise that came after Springfield 2 heading into Ozark and set yourself up to approach, like, did you have to change how you approach race day? What's your strategy going into that finale, given sort of the chaos that happened around the second day of Springfield?
Springfield, the second day was hectic. Obviously we all know what happened in the main event. I felt like I had a really good shot at doing well in that race or winning that race. You know, yeah, it's a tough deal. I guess the hardest thing to navigate was the chatter like around us. I couldn't really understand why we as a team got grouped into that. I understand, like, me personally, I was bummed for Breyer. Dude, I've been in that position last year. Like, and that was even a little bit tougher because I did it to myself, but I've been leading races or leading nationals or have a shot at something and throw it away or a bike break, and I know how that feels. I felt genuinely bad for him and his team. I mean, nobody wants to have a DNF, and nobody wants to, that we don't want to see any of that happen. And there was some chatter that we were pumped that it happened, and that's absolutely not true. None of us on the team we didn't want to take the points lead over that way. We wanted it to go to the last round. Yeah, obviously it was a lot nicer going in with a points lead, but I didn't want to see that happen to him. Breyer was a hard fought competitor all year. We went toe to toe, and none of that's true that we were happy that he broke. That's absolutely not true. Like I said, the thing that's tough is when people like, there's always a lot of chatter that Tim buys rules or he gets things his way, and obviously none of that's just obviously insane to hear. But it was crazy that they were grouping us in. Like there was chatter that we bought the black flag, and it was like, we didn't make his bike smoke. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you if his bike was smoking or not. To be honest, I haven't even really went back and watched the race to see how it was smoking. I just saw that they made a call. His number was on the board. I was shocked. Um, I'm not going to get into what my opinion is because, like I said, I really don't even know much about the situation. Regardless, I was bummed for him, but at the same time, we had to stay focused and work on getting the job done. And I did want to go into that last race, and I wanted to try to win just because it would have really quieted the chatter. But at the end of the day, we needed to go in there to get the job done, which is, was seventh or better if he won. And he showed up ready, as I assumed he would. And yeah, so it was a little tough. Those 2 weeks were just stressful on my end because I was finally in a position, I didn't want to screw it up like I did last year. And it was tough because you have all this noise coming in of like, you don't deserve it, you're getting lucky, and you're trying to just quiet that noise and go to work. So, but now it's all good. It's just a part of the life we live.
Yeah, the rivalries get stirred up a lot, and unfortunately social media can become a very toxic place for stuff like that.
Sure.
So Ozark happens, you're able to get it done. Whenever the cameras are finally off, the crowds are able to sort of disperse, and the chaos of that podium is gone. When did it sink into you, like, holy crap, like, I'm a Grand National Champion?
To be honest, I'm not really sure if it's fully set in even yet. That night, it was like when I crossed the finish line, it was more of like a sigh of relief just because I've worked for this my whole life, and obviously there's been a lot of people that have went a lot longer than, I'm young. I'm only 22. Like I think, Brian Smith did win his championship till he's in his 30s. I mean, I'm not saying that I've been sitting here grinding it out more than other people, but there's been a lot of years as a kid that, I mean, since I was 7 years old, this was the ultimate. And then to add on top of that, Yamaha hasn't won since Kenny Roberts, and Tim, he's been putting in a lot of time and a lot of money to try to get this bike to where it could win. And so it was almost just like a relief. Like even I was speaking with Tim about it, and I was like, man, Tim, I honestly like kind of thought I'd be a little bit more excited. And he was like, man, me too. Like when you cross the finish line, I was like, he goes, I didn't really know what to do. He's like, I kind of just stood there, and I was like, and then as we kind of started doing the podium and we're putting on t-shirts, the emotions started to kind of flood. Um, but I don't, I think I kind of got home and just, you get back home and it's back to normal. And I just found myself one day just kind of staring at the plate, and I just kind of looked at it for a while, and I was kind of like, man, like this is this is what I've dreamed of, like that. There it is. Like you can't take it away from me now. And it was like, man, a few things hit me at that time. I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'm never gonna run 32 again. Like that's kind of crazy. 32 is a big part of my life. I know it sounds silly. It's just a number, but it means a lot to me. So I think it'll really set in when we put the number ones on and you look at it with the first time on the bike. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I probably said I'll stew on this one for a while. Just like I kind of ride the wave. If something happens, I get a little upset, or I'm having a tough day. I'm just like, hey man, you're Grand National Champion. Start smiling a little bit. So we'll ride it out for a while.
Well, it's very well deserved for sure, man. Don't let anybody ever take that away, or let you
Yeah,
doubt
thank you.
the deservingness, man. You've been an amazing face for the sport. What has it been like this year in your battles with Breyer versus the past couple of years with Jared? And what maybe did you learn in your championship battles with Jared that helped you this year?
That's a good question. That's one I haven't been asked. In a weird way, it was almost harder battling Breyer than Jared. And this is no offense to Jared. He's the greatest. I mean, he's the absolute legend, gladiator in our sport. But Breyer has no weaknesses. I could always count on Jared struggling at the TTs, struggling, and this is in his older age. I know when he was younger, this is different. The TTs, smaller short tracks, Lima, like there was a lot of races I could almost guarantee that I was gonna get him, unless something happened or he was just having an on day. Breyer, dude, he's a great short track rider. He's a very good TT rider. He's good at Lima. He's where his weakness, I guess, is maybe on the miles. I think more of it's his package than maybe him at the moment, which I understand it was a brand new package. But still, dude, he's won Springfield Mile, Indy Mile. Like he has no weakness. So it was like I kind of had a conversation with Tommy I think it was after Peoria. I'm like, man, this is almost more difficult than battling Jared. He's like, shoot, dude, I agree. Jared, he was just like he's just so gnarly. And not that Breyer's not gnarly, but Jared's just another level. Like never give up, never give in. You knew he was putting in the work. Again, not that Breyer doesn't put in the work, but you know how it is. Jared just has that bulldog mentality that like he wasn't going to be denied. Um, so they both, I think, have their strengths and weaknesses. But yeah, man, I almost got to like with this schedule, I would think that Jared would have had a tough time beating us, even if you left him on his Indian. I mean, he wouldn't have liked how it was out in Sturgis with all the smaller short tracks and a doubleheader at Lima. Like this schedule, I think would have been a little tough for him. Um, Obviously, if he was 22, 25, 28, it would just be a different conversation. Um, but yeah, I think where what I learned from Jared came in on some of the more like higher speed tracks, not only just the miles, but maybe when you can kind of slow down the race. And I just kind of remember thinking about stuff that he would do to me, or you know, things I would see him do when we were in a pack. And yeah, unfortunately, we didn't have many miles this year. I would have liked to add more. I always enjoy the miles, but yeah, it was definitely. I apply a lot of what I've learned from Jared to these years, but it's tough too because I'm essentially racing a guy that was done the same thing as I did. So all the things I've learned from Jared Breyer has too, and Jared was kind of in his corner at one point, and I think that they were still kind of conversing. So it's like it's kind of a wash. Like I'm racing just a different version of Jared at times. So
Well, now Jared's going to have to come out of retirement just because you said you could have beat him on this schedule.
yeah, no, I'm not saying that. I just say, you know what I mean. I got
Yeah.
Jared's gnarly dude. I just like to give him some crap. But yeah, it would have been interesting to see just because, I don't know, just my opinion.
Well, we only got a couple minutes left, and then I'll let you go. I kind of want to end this on like just a joking little this or that note. Movie guy, we talk about it every once in a while when I see you. So let's go a little this or that. So DC
All
or
right.
Marvel?
Oh my gosh, I don't watch either, to be honest. I guess I'll go Marvel.
Oh man, well, this is a swing and a miss already. Harry Potter or
Yeah.
Star Wars?
Oh gosh, yeah. Never watched either of those either. Does that blow your mind?
Yeah, a little
Uh,
bit. You're hurting my feelings. I thought this was going to be a fun little back and forth.
yeah. I don't know. The only thing I would go Star Wars, I think.
All right. Well, we're 0 for 2, so hopefully we don't strike out on this one. Ricky Bobby or Cal Naughton?
Oh, here you go. Yeah, Ricky Bobby. For sure.
All right. And you've had some pretty good quotes throughout the season. Would you rather, this is not movie related, but would you rather rack the boys on a short track or take Roos to the face at Lima?
Take hers to the face, man. Leave the boys alone.
Awesome. Dallas, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate your transparency, your candidness. I appreciate all that you offer this sport, and you're always willing to give our little show some time. So thank you so much for this, and congratulations on a truly incredible year. It was a pleasure to watch from home. Just an amazing title fight between you and Breyer, and I wouldn't have no problems if you guys ran it back with this much intensity next year.
No, thanks for having me on. I'm very, pumped about this year, proud, and looking forward to next year.
Do you have the number one plate nearby?
No, I'd have to go grab it.
No. Okay. Well,
I'm actually in my sister's room. It's kind of embarrassing, but it's the only desk kind of in the house that I could. I've got it downstairs above below this light that kind of shine. No, just kidding. But
and that's where we talk about how humble Flat Track is. having to do the interviews from your sister's room. That's hilarious.
I know, yeah, she's in college, so I can use it to my ability.
Beautiful. Dallas, again, thank you so much for your time. Have a great time this weekend at Donations. Have a even better time at Pit Bike Donations. And I would
Will
love to
do.
see some clips coming out of that. So don't gatekeep that for us.
No, I'll get you some, man. It's the biggest race of the year.
Yes, sir. Have a great night, man. Thank you so much.
Will do. Thanks, Scotty.
A massive, massive thank you to the 2025 Progressive American Flat Track Mission SuperTwins Champion, Dallas Daniels, for taking time to chat with us tonight. It's still kind of surreal to me that I get the opportunity to chat with a champion of the sport, and just the fact that you guys have been so welcoming to me in this paddock and in this sport has really meant the world. So thank you to Dallas, and congratulations on an incredible season. I look forward to seeing what's next for him as he goes on to now defend that number one plate in 2026. And all year there's a couple other things we want to talk about. All year we focused on the FIM Flat Track Championship, and that was going on while we were down at Mid Carolina Speedway in East South Carolina. The finale was taking place over in the Czech Republic, and you had Sammy Halbert just 4 points clear of Irvin Krajcevic heading into Krajcevic's home country for the finale. And it kind of seemed like Sammy was on a little bit of thin ice going into that, as it was. He was going to have to be on his best behavior. And, he got behind the 8 ball early in that final. Krajcevic gets out front early. Sammy trying to make things happen, trying to get to second where he would need to be. And a little bit of contact with Andre Svedek, and Svedek goes down, and Halbert gets penalized, sent to the back. Kolby and I, we were watching that. We're like, oh no, that's it. He's toast. Gets put on the back row. On the restart, it's Svedek who gets out front. Krajcevic's having to chase him down, and Sammy's trying to knife through the pack, but as farthest he could get up to was fifth on the day. And when Sammy doesn't win, he finishes fifth. That's been the story of his season. It's a crash, a penalty, or a win for Sammy over there. And up front, Svedek was out front, but seemed like he was looking over his shoulder a good bit, watching where Krajcevic was. And whenever Krajcevic got close enough, he wasn't going to try to force the issue and risk getting in the way of his fellow countrymen's championship hopes. Krajcevic gets by Svedek, and he just holds on for the win for Irvin, his third win on the year. When Sammy wasn't winning, Irvin was, and Irvin able to stay out of the drama and have, a cleaner season. All in all, he brings home the championship, much to just his pure elation, pure joy. The home country rider, in front of his home country fans, gets that number one plate back after Sammy took it from him last year. And Krajcevic, with that victory, comes home 5 points clear of Halbert. Svedek would come home third in points. Kevin Corradetti, with a podium on the day, gets fourth, and Daniela Tonelli is able to hold off Tim Neve's late season charge after Tim was involved in that really scary crash there mid-season for this. Tim still looks like he's one of the more naturally stylish, gifted riders there on that FIM circuit. And there's a few of those guys who, if they came over to the States, would get a rude awakening, because Sammy's, contact with Svedek may have knocked him down, but we've seen Sammy hit people a lot harder. We've seen our riders here stateside hit people a lot harder too. Just saying, that's all. That's not to take anything away from Krajcevic. Great year, very consistent, very fast. and was a game rival and to Sammy. And it was cool having Sammy over there the past few years. It's sort of, put eyeballs on that series for me. I didn't know anything about it, but it's gotten me more invested in that. And congratulations to Krajcevic, another year. He actually came over here a couple of years ago to race a couple of rounds here in the States. Who knows, maybe we can get him back over this way again. And then there's additional racing going on throughout this offseason. Trevor Bruner was at Lima with RPM, picked up a victory there. RPM's got a ton of racing still to go here through the month of October. The next time we'll be at a racetrack is going to be down in Mid-Carolina Speedway again for the finale of the Southeast Flat Track Series. There's also a District 6 race at Lincoln that I'm hoping to talk about here at a future episode. And Mid-Carolina Speedway, speaking of them, they're going to have a 3-race winter series. They're going to have a round November 22nd, December 20th, and January 6th. So those are all Saturdays. The night before, the Friday night before, they're going to have an open practice for anybody who wants to come down for the weekend and get some extra laps there. So that's a super cool thing that Lee and Matthew Blackman are doing down there at Mid-Carolina Speedway. Hoping we can make all those rounds as well. And then we'll get right into 2026, I guess, waiting for schedules to drop and to make those plans. We know Daytona is going to kick off the 2026 season, and we're working on making plans down there to be out there at the short track again. Thank you guys so much for supporting this channel. Thank you for checking this out. And please make sure you're supporting everybody who's doing content around the sport, whether it's podcast, Instagram shorts, YouTube channels, whatever people are doing to help build this up. Please make sure you're supporting those sponsors and riders and people who are involved in trying to grow this sport. We've had the true privilege to be allowed to be on Tank Slapping Podcast recently for as long as Corey wants to keep inviting me back. I'm thrilled to have that opportunity. So thank you guys so much. That's going to be it for us this week. I just really wanted to focus on that Dallas Daniels interview, and thank you again to Dallas for your time and best have a good off season, man, and congratulations on a great 2025. Everybody, we hope we can still keep bringing you stuff this offseason on the channel. We posted 2001 hot shoe stuff from Savannah recently. We've got Volusia from that same year, the hot shoe race there. And we'll post that here in the coming days. And we'll get out to a couple more rounds, have some more recaps. And we'll wrap it up there. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. Love you.